Enterprise to Orion vessel. I have a proposal to make. If you do have the Huron's cargo, there were some perishable drugs in it that we desperately need.
What would these drugs be worth to you, if we had them?
Well, friends, we're back with a new and final season of Star Trek Lower Decks. While I have my extreme doubts that this is actually truly going to be the final time we see these characters, it still is no doubt going to be the end of an era regardless. I know they dropped 2 episodes at once. I've only seen the first, so sit back, buckle in, and let's get Season 5, Episode 1, Dos Cerritos, off the ground. But remember, from here on out, spoilers do lie ahead. Before we get to the episode, how about those new additions to the intro sequence? The Borg battle, we have the Tholian web, we've got Voyager, and the freaking hand of Apollo. Come on, son, that's pretty awesome. First things first, I'm pretty happy with just how much of the pre-season marketing material was in this episode. Everything from the pre-credit cold open sequence of Tendi and Co. taking care of Collectors Guild business, to the entire plot of the encounter with the parallel Cerritos and crew, all the way down to that much complained about line of Mariner saying,
"I want to stay here and be charmingly insubordinate."
Now, thankfully, we've seen several times over the past few years that when these quotes from upcoming seasons are released, they cause some sort of unbridled rage in the fandom online, and they turn out to be something completely different once they're actually shown in the series when they're put in context. Worf's pacifism, anyone? The main plot of this episode followed the relatively tame but still pretty enjoyable sojourn of our Cerritos crew into the parallel universe. While I don't think the plot or differences in this reality really put it up there with the best aspects of the multiverse, I don't think that was ever really truly the point. I think this was sort of a place-setting event, not only to give us a somewhat refresher course on who our main characters are after a season of pretty big change and turmoil in their young careers, but to offer us a bit of a there but for the grace of koala go I exploration. A Rutherford who can't cope without his Tendi, a Boimler who seemingly kept on his path of emulating Riker, possibly without ever getting a duplicate in this universe. A Carol Freeman who never really grew from the bumbling captain from the early days of the show. Even a Mariner who left the self-sabotage behind in order to climb the ranks, albeit to a rather poor effect as far as our POV characters are concerned. And speaking of Captain Mariner, or should I say Captain Freeman, we finally get confirmation on why our Mariner has a last name different from her parents. And no, it isn't a secret marriage or a sinister alien plot.
I guess what I should have done is hide behind my middle name to distance myself from my mother. Mariner. Okay, yeah, respect.
Now, aside from being a more cautionary or alternate tale for our characters, I did mostly enjoy the differences between the universes. I actually really did enjoy the ever so slightly darker uniform colors of the crew. This minor yet subtle difference, as well as the squabbling of the crews over which universe could be designated prime or real, like all of that stuff, it genuinely reminded me a heck of a lot of the Farnsworth paradox from Futurama.
And allow us to return to the prime universe.
Hey! This is the Prime Universe!
All right. You can be Crummy Universe A, and we'll be Universe 1.
Or the Mongooses. That's a cool team name.
That fun similar aside, it also seemed like a slight meta-nod to our real world, or a reference to the online fighting about the designation of the term Prime Trek Universe being different from the real pre-JJ universe, all of that stuff. Not sure if that was intentional, but I'll allow it. Speaking of things I'll allow, how about you join the channel like these cool cats?
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Remarkable. Fascinating.
King Billups was really cool, as well as the call out to Naomi Wildman. I really thought we would have seen her by now, or at least that's a personal wish of mine. In fact, apparently she was supposed to be on the list for the 3rd season of Picard. I'm very glad they didn't go down this route though, because supposedly Terry had wanted to put her in the Fenris Rangers to sort of, show that she was emulating Seven's path. I hate that idea. I really hate that idea. I personally think that she should be in Starfleet, but because she grew up on Voyager with the ideals of the Voyager version of Starfleet, putting family first and all of that stuff, this would constantly put her at odds with the way the actual Starfleet is currently being run. Anywho, Let's go ahead and digress again. That's not the point of this video. Before I come back to the one final point about the parallel universe, let's go over and touch on that Tendi stuff. I like that we got to see it right up front. There was no hemming or hawing this season about what she's up to. There was no waiting 3 episodes to resolve anything to finally see her on screen. She's front and center doing her Orion thing, trying to get back to Starfleet as soon as possible. Now, maybe the best part of the episode to a nerd like me who likes the animated series was the somewhat natural reintroduction of the Blue Orions.
Green Orions?
Blue Orions?
I would have liked them as a fun throwaway gag, but I really liked the way that they were playing them up as a distinct splinter group or something like that. Kind of similar to, I suppose, how the Romulans and the Vulcans work. Maybe something along the lines of the Andorians and the Enar, something like that. Not exactly, but it certainly adds some nice depth and context to this generally one-note culture, which is something that Lower Decks has been steadily trying to do with Tendi, and now that I think of it, not even just Lower Decks, that crossover episode of Strange New Worlds also. I also enjoyed the fact that this revelation came in the wreck of an old medical ship, especially since their appearance in the animated series revolved around a theft of some medical supplies that were needed to save Spock's life, and it was his blood that was killing him, so, 1 point to McCoy? As it currently appears, a war has been started between the green and blue factions of Orion or Orion Society. I have to imagine this is going to spill over into the rest of the season, and I have to wonder if Tendi is going to become the ultimate grand unifier or something along those lines. Regardless, I really like how this was more than just a gag, and it seems to be woven into the structure of the show in an ongoing manner. Speaking of something that I think will be woven into the structure of the show, that damn alt-universe pad Boimler took with him back to the Prime Universe.
Where'd you get that thing?
I don't know. Nothing.
All right, whatever, weirdo.
I personally think that this is going to cause a lot of issues. Maybe it's going to be the reason that the quantum rift is forced into remaining open, causing a multitude of other realities to start bleeding into each other. Something similar to that SG-1 episode where all of the alternate universe teams kept spilling out of our gate. I think that by his taking of that pad out of its rightful universe, its alternate quantum signature in conjunction with the rift that it traveled through is somehow going to be tying all of these multiverses together and opening all sorts of shenanigans, thus allowing all of those different Harry Kims to gather together that we saw in the trailer for the upcoming season. So yeah, maybe it wasn't the most action-packed or stellar episode possible, but I personally think it did a pretty good job of giving us some solid footing for our characters, as well as planting the seeds for what will inevitably become some much bigger stories later on down the road in this season. And in the process, it was just a fun ride, especially if you're a fan of the Orions. So tell me all your thoughts down below. Are you excited for the season? Who else do you think we're going to see pop up in this swan song? Do you think we've seen the last of these parallel universe characters? All of that stuff, leave it down below. While you're there, like, share, subscribe, join the channel, and do all those YouTube things. But until next time...
I have an explosive device in my backpack that will start a molecular chain reaction and detonate this asteroid.